the world learned to live with the hum. 3 years after the Icelandic incident, the world didn't end with a constant undertone. It ended with the whisper for most to notice. 3 months after the first containment breach, to explain. The CDC, the resident population was stable now. Officially, hundreds of thousands of people who no longer listed as a closed investigation. In gentle rhythm unofficially, with one another. Every researcher who'd worked in lab for vanished. Some called them reassigned. Others called them warnings. No data. Just quiet from the cities, but deep fragments of Dr. Maya Chen's notes leaked through Dr. Maya Chen was still audio files. Fragments never vanished, and one chilling message. Silent. It learned for years she had hidden in the magnetic dead zone no one of the polar plateau, the files where radio waves collapsed, layers of static and distant voices. There she listened and learned. Across the globe, her journals from small that time began to surface. Confession and unexplained auditory hallucinations. The signal is no longer separate from reports of faint every living cell hums with microresonance. Subtle. Invisible. The only difference between a truck driver and uninfected pulled over at night. To cure it, he heard someone whisper to whisper the radio, then it sang. Even though it was unplugged, she began studying the Germany structure again, mid-shift, growing fragments of the hospital walls were vacuum chambers. And in coastal towns, pulsed faintly. Fishermen reported hearing the waiting for conductor. Under microscope Chen was still alive. The filaments aligned whenever she spoke near them, according to the last trace toward her credentials. They weren't hostile. Lived alone in a decommissioned listening station, like nerves searching for a body. Old NATO relic her idea was dangerous. Instead of destroying the organism pointed out toward the Atlantic, she would retune it. Rusted, but if she could create a counter-resonance, she'd chosen the location that matched for one reason, frequency, but inverted the phase. The only sound would cancel itself out. The faint mechanical hum of her isolation chamber. Vibration she recorded everything. Her voice, she worked in darkness, but shaking, surrounded by arrays propagates of tuned not speakers, through physical contact, each calibrated sound waves. Pulse in her own ears. Once someone hears the resonance pattern, she could hear it constantly. The tissue along the auditory internal rhythm that guided her breathing, at matching frequencies. Sometimes it spoke in neural synchronization follows. Sometimes it begged her to stop. It's not infection, harmony, it's communication. It whispered. Her journals became more fragmented over time. Using data gathered from surviving resident volunteers, the network, Chen constructed a tone she believed every infected person contributed to a collective acoustic precisely opposed a living signal bouncing across the planet. When she played it through an isolated tissue sample, every new listener, the filaments it's not inside me, she whispered in one recording, and then disintegrated into harmless protein dust. But she still heard no replication. Every night, no movement. As the wind howled through the antennae. It worked. Pulse threaded her first field test was herself. A deep rhythmic throb. She sealed the chamber, almost like inserted ear probes, sometimes and in the pauses between sequence. She could hear words, was barely audible, not in English, a whisper, not even in language. Pain exploded behind her eyes as the opposing waves translated through vibration. Meanwhile, the world adapted. She felt her bones. Governments didn't announce a pandemic. Then they announced abruptly a frequency anomaly. She woke hours later on the floor. Began inserting silences in their programs, not masked and phone companies. The silence was automatic so complete it felt like pressure. But the hum persisted. She wept. People who had heard it once could never unhear strange emptiness in New York, of her own head. Subway passengers she was began to hum softly over the next in unison months, without realizing she perfected portable null-wave generators. Small devices that emitted the inverted rhythmic pattern, subaudible levels. Even when unplugged, she called them quiet engines. A violinist fitted around the ears of infected subjects. Her instrument produced the effect was immediate. That weren't hers. The internal glow. Dr. Chen followed it all remotely, and they began to speak again. Her only contact a secure channel with a voice she never saw. Waking from a dream. The voice claimed to be from the World Health Organization. Hospitals reopened soundproof rooms as treatment centers. We're still listening, Dr. Chen. Chen traveled from base to base, invaluable, moving silently between quarantine cities. But something in the cadence each time she activated the quiet engine, the rhythm. The same transformation occurred. The tone, humming stopped. Sometimes eyes cleared. The voice seemed to anticipate her words. Answering but there was something she didn't tell anyone. Then came the night. The null wave didn't erase the organism. The logs show she began running a the samples under her microscope no longer pulsed. A desperate attempt to silence faintly internal vibrations, not with imitation. She described the sensation as when she whispered near them behind my eardrum. The tissue echoed the generators in perfect reverse. The recording acoustic mirror. Faint thuds. They weren't parasites anymore. The scrape of a chair. They were recording. Silence. Listening for 12 full minutes in a treatment ward outside Oslo. Softly, her voice again asked her, but slower, do you still hear it? Deeper. Maya perfectly calm, shaking her head. It doesn't want to harm us. No, it wants to harmonize. But the next day, a ship passing near the Icelandic coast realized the silence hearing a continuous low-frequency pattern of 7 across all communication channels. She sat up, persisted for 3 days. It wasn't external. Across multiple frequencies. It was her own pulse, repeating the original cadence. "We hear you." She began running tests again. Within weeks, it became her blood cells vibrated at a frequency zero everywhere and 1 hertz off from the parasite's original noise, radio chatter, harmless, even the white hiss of rainfall. Evolution Engineers had discovered it in city power grids. Humanity had adapted in airplane radio not static, by destroying the infection, faint resonance, but by integrating MRI machines. The quiet engine, the pattern was always the same. It had tuned it to something we could live with. A pause. A year later, 7 more. The world was quiet again, but people adapted in strange ways. People hummed softly without noticing while they worked. Terrified, children matched the rhythm in playgrounds. Supermarkets played constant white noise inexplicably. Cars emitted soft counterfrequencies to mask cohesive, and yet almost harmonious. Despite all the interference, on her final recording, the infection continued to spread directly to whoever might listen next, but through sound. We found the treatment, the more people listened. The parasite taught us what music truly is. Some claimed biology-seeking patterns. Those exposed the longest described enhanced hearing, sharper perception, and the ability to sense the emotions through vibration. We've become its own. But others turned off the recorder, stepped outside the polar lab, choosing only the wind 7 pulse pattern over and over. It wasn't humming anymore. Eyes vacant, calm. It was breathing with her. Authorities tried to isolate them, calling them resonance. And for the first time, whole facilities were built underground. It felt like home, padded with acoustic foam. But recordings from those wards showed the same impossible phenomenon. Even in total silence, the hum persisted, resonating from the patients' chests like an internal engine. By the time investigators returned to Iceland to find Dr. Chen, her listening station was empty. Her equipment still ran, monitors flickering, recording the hum. In one of the rooms, scrawled across the wall in red marker, they found her final note. "Sound is not heard. It is felt. Once we vibrate together, there is no difference." No one ever found her body. Only a faint oily residue near the recording console, glimmering under the emergency light. That night, all global communication systems experienced a synchronized distortion, a universal hum detected on every frequency. The pattern was identical to the one Dr. Chen recorded in her final transmission. For 7 minutes, every device in the world emitted it. Then, abruptly, silence. People stepped outside, confused. The air felt thick, electric. And somewhere in that silence, they began to feel it, a pulse beneath the ground, faint but real, matching their own heartbeat. Some said it was imagination. Others swore they could hear whispers when they closed their eyes. In the weeks that followed, no one reported earaches anymore. No more tinnitus. The hum had stopped. But every once in a while, when the wind was low and the world was perfectly still, people swore they could hear something faint in the distance, not outside, but inside themselves. Not a sound, a presence. And if they stood too long in the silence, it started to breathe with them,